EDGAR CAYCE's Planetary Sojourn in Saturn. Part 1. Saturn is where all insufficient, declining or no growth, matter and souls go to be revitalized or spiritualized and hence start the growth, renewal or change process again. The urge to change is from a soul's sojourn in Saturn. In Saturn, that to whom all insufficient matter is cast for its remolding, its changing into the various spheres of its activity. In Saturn we find that influence of an ever-changing nature, of a seeking, of a renewing, of making starts. The influences from that changing planet's force, Saturn, that to which insufficient matter is cast, often make for the very great changes, the ups, the downs. The entity entering the Earth's plane, and manifesting in the flesh, when such conditions are shown in the body that the spiritual entity is banished unto Saturn, that condition in the Earth's solar system to which all insufficient matter is cast for the remolding, as it were, for its passage through the development in Earth's plane, or in the spheres to which the Earth's relations adhere in the development of a spiritual or physical body. As is seen from the appearance in the influences in that to whom all insufficient forces are cast, that the building or remolding in the present is an experience through which the entity must make for self all that may build or count in the re-establishing the resuscitation of the forces as lie within self as innate, that are a portion of the whole of the divine, as gives life in all its forms. For in life itself, whether that in the material, that in the spiritual, or that in the cosmic influences in life, is the motive force of that as is the creative energy in all the spheres of the universe. Saturn, to whom all insufficient matter is cast at its decay. Saturn, that to which all insufficient matter is cast for mold. Saturn is that realm to which all insufficient matter is cast for remolding. This rules the entity mostly. But know that no urge of any soul exceeds the will of self, that which makes you as an individual different from all other individuals. For no one can touch the soul nor add to nor take from it, other than by thy will. Allowing such to be done. What is meant by banishment of a soul from its maker? Of the will. As given in the beginning to choose for self as in the earthly plane, all insufficient matter is cast unto Saturn. To work out his own salvation as would be termed in the word, the entity or individual banishes itself, or its soul, which is its entity. Saturn, that planet to whom all insufficient matter is cast from the earth plane. The sojourn in Saturn, that changeable influence, that environ to which all insufficient matter in earth is cast, that environ which is soon to rule in the experience of the entity. Mercury pertaining of mind, in Mars of madness, in Earth as of flesh, in Venus as love, in Jupiter as strength, in Saturn as the beginning of earthly woes, that to which all insufficient matter is cast for the beginning. In that of Uranus as of the psychic, in that of Neptune as of mystic, in Septimus as of consciousness, in Arcturus as of the developing. The influences from Saturn have made and do make for experiences where things that are new, things that are changing. In Saturn we find that making for an influence in which the entity has found and will find more and more those of new conditions arising, changes coming about. In those astrological forces as indicated from Saturn and its influence in the entity's activities in the present, we find the tendency for change, the tendency for commencing over again, the tendency to feel within self, could I but blot out this, could I but change that. These would make for differences in the activities and the relationships, the activities and the purposes. But how hath he given in his promises, in his judgments? Use that thou hast in hand. And as ye use this, then may there be given thee the next step. In Saturn, these have made for changes of environ, changes of position, starting something new oft, even before old surroundings or conditions were completed in the experience of the entity. From Saturn's influences we find, as has been indicated, changes, new experiences, those inclinations and tendencies for the delving into new activities, and the old order often passing away. From the Saturn influences we find many sudden and many definite changes coming into the experience. As change in environ, change in social status, change in position, change in likes and dislikes, change in those things that become both as hereditary affluence, not influence, but affluence, and environmental influence. In those influences from Saturn we find oft the sudden changes in environs, whether mental, material, or even spiritual experiences, and the continual experience of the entity determining within self to right about face in this or that activity, in this or that environ, in this or that influence that has become or becomes a part of the experience. In Saturn we find the influence making for the great changes that have been and may be the experience of the entity. From Saturn we find the inclinations for seeking new fields, whether these be for material experiences, a mental emotion, or the seeking for things because they are new or strange. These become a part of the experience. In Saturn we will find the very temperaments, rather than changes so much in its position or place. For the inclination will be ever for the climbing to greater and greater achievements, not only in its abilities but in its associations and connections with others. In Saturn we find the sudden changes, and where there have been, and may become, apparently changes arising from unseen influences or forces. From Saturn we find changes, as well as the interest in the effect that changes have upon the lives of others.